In 2021, MSR Media, a UK and Nevis-based boutique film and TV production company, signed a 3-year multi-movie deal with the Nevis Island administration. Since then, MSR Media has completed several movies on the island, including 1 Year Off, Assailant, A Week in Paradise, Us or Them, and Christmas in the Caribbean. In May, MSR Media extended support to local persons in the Federation to enter their submission for a short film writers competition. Today we have Mr. Phillipe Martinez of MSR Media to speak with us on this competition and other MSR projects in the Federation. Good morning, Mr. Phillipe and Mr. Martinez, and welcome to Good Morning SKN.
Thank you. Very happy to be with you guys.
It's our pleasure to have you today. So we're going to dive right into it. What was the inspiration for this competition?
Well, the inspiration is that MSR Media is building a long-term professional film industry in the Federation. And in order to build a long-term industry, there are several steps. Step number one, we hired about 50 people from the Federation and teach them how to be crew members, which we have done successfully. So we have now a costume designer, production designer, AD, assistant, and many departments are filled with people that have learned the film because we've already shot 6 movies in the Federation. The next step is to encourage people to become actors and give them a proper training to appear in our films, which we're doing as well. And then finally, the last step is to create people that can create stories, writers, but also film directors. That's a longer step because it's a long training, but we felt that making a competition of a short story, a short film, which go for the film festival circuit, would be a great step.
All right, so I'm curious, Mr. Martinez, concerning that competition, obviously anyone would be grateful to participate, so I'm sure that you received multiple submissions. What were some of the things that you looked for to distinguish between the films? Well,
it's hard because we received many applications, much more than I expected, actually. I think, keep in mind, this is a very subjective, when you make a competition, it's subjective. I think that what interested us in selecting the winner, I was really hoping to see more social issues story. And we didn't get that many of those, actually. When you make a short film, short film don't generate money. It's really to give a portrait of a country or a society. So I was expecting much more applicant that will create or give us stories of the country itself. And we didn't get many of those. So when we got some that portray stories that happen in the island, I was really touched by that. And then we got a lot of, commercial story, and one of the winners provided us a great thriller, commercial story. So, the art of making a film is knowing how to tell a story. If the story is good, if it's on the paper, that's already part of the battle that's win.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Martinez, are you at liberty to tell us who the winner was that you were referring to?
Yes, of course. Well, for instance, there is a lady, she's retired from the school department in Nevis. Her name is Arlene Menard. And she came with a story, yes, and she sent us a story which really was very inspiring. And I have to say, I spent a lot of time listening to her. She described the life of a woman with 2 kids, single woman, during the pandemic, and how she lost her income, and how she had to face the consequences financially and mentally for her children, and how she was able to create something because she was telling me something that was very inspiring to me. She wanted to show how the people can be resilient and how they could overcome an obstacle of the magnitude of the pandemic and do something, create something. So that story really resonated to me, and we decided to select her as one of the winners. There is another winner that Jennifer Harding Marlin, who had a story about the tragedy of the Christina that happened many years ago, and how it affected the young kids not to go swimming because of the fear of their parents, and how to overcome that. So that story also really resonated to me, because it's something that happened and that touches many lives in the Federation. So we decided also to make Jennifer a winner. And then the third winner is Nikki Buslam. Let me make sure I pronounce her name correctly. Nikki Busu, who came up with a very captivating thriller, psychological thriller, which was nothing to do with the Federation. But I said to myself, how did she come up with that? And we decided to make a winner. So initially we were going to have only one winner, but frankly, those 3 women came up with 3 stories that were so captivating that we said, you know what, let's just have 3 winners, because we couldn't. Honestly, I couldn't turn down those 3 stories.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you, Mr. Martinez, and congrats on your 6 films as well.
So, Mr. Martinez, I'm listening to you, and I'm really fascinated because obviously I appreciate the fact that you want to showcase things that are relevant to our society and to our people, and thank you for that as well. I also want to know now, in terms of the winners, what's next for them? What's next for their stories?
What's next to them is what each applicant submitted was a page or page and a half story. Now we have to turn that into a proper 10 to 12 page script. So the next step for them is to work with our team on turning a what we call a synopsis. When you write a one-page story, we call that a synopsis. How to turn a synopsis into a proper screenplay. So that's going to be a process that's probably going to take them a couple of months. One is off the island right now, but the other 2 are here. So when the other lady is coming back, we're going to put them together in a room, and they're going to work with our team, where we're going to train them how to professionally turn a story into a proper screenplay that can be shot. That's the next step.
That's such a privilege.
Then once, So then once that, when we have the script, then we have to cast them. So we're going to, of course, ask them to be part of that process, because you need actors to be on screen to tell that story, to act in the stories. So that's going to be another interesting process. 100% of the actors will be from the Federation, which is why we have also made a casting call for the next movie that we're producing, which will be the 7th film in the Federation. And we set up a casting app, which I really recommend people to make application. Like that, we have a database of possible actors that our 3 winners can look when they want to cast their film. and then we shoot the shot. So the whole process is going to take a few months, of course, because we have to also train them how to behave and tell the story on the set. So we're going to invite the winner to come on the big movies that we're shooting, so they understand what the director does. They understand how to direct actors. Of course, we will have a full professional crew that do our big movies to do the job, so they will be fully supported. But that's an adventure, and I'm also excited that it's 3 women that won. Listen, we got great stories. I wasn't expecting to receive that many stories, but those 3 voices, because for me, like I said, when you have something like that, you have to tell a story, and those 3 women were really able to tell me their story and captivate our attention.
Well, thank you, Mr. Martinez, for sharing that. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, of course. And as I was joking with you before the segment, you might expect to see Hortensia's application in mine, because you never know. We might be in that database sooner than later.
Absolutely. Listen, think of this competition as education.
Yes.
I believe that education is key. The same way we have educated our local crew jobs into the film industry, the same way we are now also educating young actors how to be on screen and become actors. Now we're educating people that are from the Federation to tell story and to become filmmakers. We're pioneering. We are the pioneer of this industry in the country, but I think that our goal will be achieved when one day we can produce a big film with big movie stars that's directed by a local filmmaker. That day, we can say that we have succeeded to build a long-term industry.